65 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. My name is Tamara Hunter. I am your host, and today we have a very special show that we are bringing to you, a special service hero, someone that I have now met because, truthfully, winning the Next Impactor contest. One of the features, one of the prizes, if you will, was that you would be able to be featured in an international magazine with huge reach. This is the founder of that magazine. This is the person that put together a program that is all about helping the world become a better place. I have a deep respect for Caroline Opinde. She is someone that is out there to make a difference, a service hero. She has that service hero inside of her, and we are going to be talking to her about it. And let me tell you this, today's show may have some items in it that are going to be maybe tough to hear. However, it is real. And these are things that are happening today being April the 13th. However, in the end, you'll find that you will be inspired by this woman as I am to find that service hero inside of you to make a difference. So with that said, Caroline, I want to welcome you today. How are you?
I am well, thank you, Tamara. Thank you so much. I'm joining you from Manchester, United Kingdom, and it is such an honor to be here on your show today.
Well, thank you. Truly, the honor is all mine. And let's dive right into it. I don't want to waste any time here because and I'm just getting this in so that we don't get disturbed here. You started NGO Whisperer because you came from the nonprofit world, and you found that, like many of us, like myself, that start a nonprofit, we've got a fire in our belly. We have a cause. We know we can make a difference. However, there's a lot. This is a business, and we need to be able to have these nonprofits sustainable. We need to be able to make sure that they're ran well. We need to make sure that they get the exposure that they need. And you found that they needed some help, right? So let's talk about what you saw and why you felt you could actually do something about it, because you have an education. And when I realized what your bachelor's was in, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I want to hear that a little bit. You come from a science background, you go into project management, and then that takes you to the nonprofit world. Let's start there, and then we'll bring everybody up to speed with what it is that you're doing now.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I started out studying mathematics and chemistry, and while I was at the university, I was recruited by an HIV and AIDS program to be an activist at the university and to speak about HIV prevention at the University of Nairobi in Kenya. It was at the beginning when there was the ABCs of HIV prevention, A meaning abstinence, B means being faithful, and C, using condoms. And so I was one of the student leaders, and being a student leader, I had a sphere of influence, and therefore I was chosen to be a leader in that way. And so that was my baptism into the sector.
And that's a really good way of putting it, because it truly is in many ways, I don't want to say a spiritual experience. However, you become immersed in doing good, and you see the need when you get involved, and that's really good when you get involved with the people that are out there making a difference in AIDS. That I remember, wink wink, I'm old enough to have been around, a teenager going into adulthood when that all came onto the scene. And that has to have been a time back in the day that, for those like myself, feel somewhat eerily similar and to what it is that we are experiencing now. However, this is a whole different thing because it's being handled quite differently. However, I did watch, and we won't spend too much on this, but I thought it was interesting that you brought that up, because the other night I watched Elton John, a Healing Through Music thing that he did on CNN and or no, Fox News, and brought a lot of like a living room musical event with a lot of different popular musicians saying, hey, we are being smart, sheltering in place, we're being socially responsible. And then at the end, he talked about this. He said, if we would have gotten on top of the AIDS situation much quicker as a world family, as a world united, then we could have affected so many more people and helped them and saved so many more lives. And that's one of the reasons he got behind this, was that, okay, let's do this now. Let's do this now. Let's get on top of it. And I really, in fact, it's really funny. He came right here to Skip Thomas, one of my board members that's over digital platforms. He's the one that made me aware of the fact that that was going on, and I thought, how appropriate. So your baptism, let's say by fire, into the nonprofit world was back when you were in college. Then, yes. Is that what inspired you to get your master's in project management, or how did that come about?
So when I studied mathematics and chemistry, but I haven't really been in a lab practicing as a scientist or majored in mathematics in my, after that. So the story goes like this. After I worked as a volunteer at the university while studying, when I graduated, I was offered a job opportunity. At first, I thought it was going to be a voluntary thing, and I was up for it. Went for the interview and passed with flying colors. And then I was just told, are you available to go for a 2-week training? And I was like, oh, I have to go back to my real job, because I was working in a research company. I was going to major in statistics and do my master's in statistics, and maybe work for the Central Bank of Kenya, or be an actuarial scientist, something like that, or maybe get into chemistry and do my master's in chemistry, because I had majored in both mathematics and chemistry. So then my mentor, who I continue to speak with, I even had a chat with him yesterday, tells me, no, this is a job. It's a real job. So are you up for it? I was like, yeah, I am up for it. And I saw how much they were going to pay me, and I was like, okay, that's good.
I can do that.
What I love, and then getting paid for it, it didn't feel like a job, because I had done this for 2 years while I was at the university. Right. So then I worked with them for 5 years, and after 5 years, I moved to South Africa. And in South Africa, I worked for another 10 years there, and in total, 15 years working in the HIV and AIDS sector, dealing with many other emerging and cross-cutting issues, such as gender-based violence prevention among women, girls, and children. So all those are cross-cutting issues that come up. And it's very interesting when we talk about COVID-19 and the similarities between how we are treating the situation right now with how at the beginning of HIV, there's so many lessons that we can learn from HIV prevention, care, and support that can be implemented within the COVID-19 pandemic treatment care for people, and also the whole issue of social distancing. So with HIV, it is not airborne. It is not, you cannot get it by being close to people who are living with HIV. However, back in the day, people did not know that. So the cross-cutting issue there is, how are we educating the community, and how are we ensuring that people in the community are being educated? And just like HIV, again, bringing similarities to COVID-19 is, there is a relationship or correlation between gender-based violence, something that, we were talking about before the show, even when you reached out to me. And so When you look at HIV, one of the drivers for HIV infection is gender-based violence. So you're talking about rape, sexual assault, and many other issues that come with gender-based violence, domestic violence. And then when we look at COVID-19 is the fact that people are in lockdown.
Right, right,
It
right.
is a driving force or a driving factor for increasing gender-based violence in homes where it had existed, or being something that is propagating and beginning to intensify in homes where it did not, because of many other issues. There could be
Right.
financial difficulties. It could also be issues around people are in the home and they're getting agitated and therefore don't have time to let off the energy or to,
Energy, yeah,
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 and so they
yeah.
are becoming agitated. And for some of those abusers, the only way they know how to control people in their homes or within their communities is by using violence. So that's the only way they can express themselves. And we need to talk about these issues. And so I will
Yes,
stop there and let
yes.
you first go ahead and ask me another question before I get deeper into it, because I'm
Yeah, well, and thank you, and that's why I started the show by saying we're going to be talking about some real stuff, and it's this is tough for some to hear. However, we don't skirt the issues here at Service Heroes. What we do is we talk about how we can be that hero to make a difference. And that's where we're going to go with this, guys. But we've got to set the stage. And this is happening. When I was talking with Caroline yesterday and then today again about this, because she had actually put out, and I will let you all know too, and we're going to talk later about her whole platform. This is not only the only area that she now works within. She has a full platform that are different areas, including health, and that's why we now she's been so supportive of what it is that we're doing at Chemo Buddies for Life. And yet this is relevant, this is now. And so she put out a post just recently about violence cases, and this is happening throughout the world. So what I did is I did some searching in my community, in my area of Southern California, in my county, and I actually was a bit shocked to find that just within the last few days our sheriff was interviewed by our local newspaper, and there was a domestic disturbance, of which there was 2 killings. There was a murder-suicide. It was attributed to COVID-19. There was domestic violence issues, and then the reporter went on to get a quote saying that yes, those issues, there are an increase in calls right now for this subject. And so this is a subject that we've talked about other tough subjects here, and then come up with solutions or ways that each one of us can find that service hero inside to make a difference. And so with that all said, when you, what was the alert to you? Because you're tied into the UN, you're tied into a lot of the different organizations throughout the world. You know many of the leaders of different countries, and those that are making a difference out there. Why did you put this particular post out in regards to the violence cases right now? What was the trigger of it all?
Thank you. That's a very, very important question. I would just like our viewers to know that, within the NGO Whisperer, let me start there so they can understand why I put out this post.
Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take myself down a bit, and just you can talk to them and share that with them, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it. So with the NGO Whisperer, we are consulting business. We support nonprofits in very many ways. There are actually 6 pillars of our work. And so we help nonprofits to raise funds so they can successfully impact people's lives. However, when nonprofits come to us, we find out that there are many issues that they are facing. and they need help. So apart from raising funds, which is the first pillar, we help nonprofits to identify donors, to design projects, to raise funds and support them through the entire process until the funds come through. Once the funds come through, we help nonprofits to manage those funds through project management support. And then for nonprofits that need support with their governance, meaning the board members as well as the leadership in the organization, we help them with governance and organizational management. Then within organizations, we've realized also that so many organizations do not have what you call an enterprise-wide risk management strategy. And so we help them to identify risks that may come up and come up with mitigating factors. And so that is the fourth it's the fourth arm of what we do, or the fourth pillar of the NGO Whisperer. The fifth one is executive coaching and master classes. So once we've supported an organization to raise funds, they're managing their projects well, we've helped them to sort out their board, and now the board is functional and supporting the work in the way that it should. We realize that on an ongoing basis, nonprofits need coaching, and therefore we provide one-on-one coaching to nonprofits executives, as well as provide masterclasses to groups. So our masterclasses have been catered for our clients, and we are opening it up now. And so more and more organizations who are not receiving funds through support that we have given them, or project management or any others, can actually join in just for the master classes to get knowledge and to be able to be effective in their work. And lastly, it's the NGO Whisperer show and the NGO Whisperer magazine that Chemo Buddies for Life was featured in issue number 3. So those are the services that we offer. And while we are offering all those services, there are issues that our clients actually bring to us, and we help them to tackle those issues. Now, all this time, since, for over 15 years, I have been in the HIV and AIDS sector, in global health. I've done a lot of work with gender-based violence prevention organizations, and so on and so forth. So this is not a new issue that I'm coming up with. I'm also a member, recently became a United Nations Women member. And so as a member of the United Nations, there are reports that I receive on an ongoing basis. And one of those reports that I recently received and read was on gender-based violence that is escalating at horrendous rates, and cases going on all over the world. So this is not something that is happening in a certain part of the world, it's all over. You talk about South Africa, where I have lived for many years. Talk about the United Kingdom, where I am. Talk about Kenya, my country, where I am from. I'm originally Kenyan. Then there are countries such as India, Kyrgyzstan. Talk about the United States of America. Talk about other European countries. So gender-based violence is an issue that is going on, that people are experiencing in their homes, mostly women, girls, and children, according to the reports from the United Nations.
And thank you for bringing us through that so thoroughly, because now everybody's understanding why it is that you're here, and the fact that you know what you're talking about. It's not like, okay, yeah, we were just at a party, and a virtual party these days, and we decided, let's have you come on and talk about this. No, you've actually been working out there. You know what you're doing. Yeah. Hey, I got mine too. Lake Tahoe, yes. I'm taking a virtual trip with my cup. Okay, so and so okay, we made the case. Now, not to get too graphic, but I want to just put it out there, and then I want to go into more into how can we make a difference, and how are you making a difference? And that is that with the fact that we're having to now shelter in place, that is, just about everybody knows, just as of yesterday or the day before, all 50 states within the United States have now been declared, there's some kind of a disaster or something going on. And so this is like the very first time I was reading that this has happened. Now that might not be right. That might not be true. I didn't fact find on that one. However, the issue here is this is happening at a very fast clip. Every day, something new, something new, something new. But it is happening all over the world where it's something new, something new, something new. And what you were talking about was that not only, and I have one down the street from me, so this is relevant, guys, for us all, particular even in my own home. We have the jail system. We have those that have actually been brought to court, that have actually been found guilty of some type of domestic violence. They've been incarcerated. And so those people that had to go through the court system, face face that person, not easy to do, and then had a breath of like relief. Okay, I'm safe now. There are now, because of social distancing, because of COVID-19, because of the taxingness of all of this on all segments of our population, including the jail population, some of those abusers are being released back into the society. Okay, guys, think about this. You faced your abuser, the court found them guilty, you had a breath of fresh air, you're now living in the middle of a pandemic, you're locked up in your house. Most likely it's difficult because of that situation. I know a lot of other nonprofits similar, Cat Dawn with New Dawn and some of these others that support in different situations that have something to do with the jail system, and families at home that are struggling because of it. We now have some of those going back into the home. Some of these people that were found guilty, and that because they're being released from jail, we're putting a lot of people at risk at that degree. But then we have the other side of the coin where some people say, well, it's not that big of a deal. I got screamed at. This or that. It's, yeah, I may have a bruise, but that, I forgive. We're all under stress. And so then they're starting to feel the stress of it because they're starting to feel the physical pieces of it. There's also those that are just not being responsible and taking this and saying, okay, hey, I'm invincible. We don't have to worry about sheltering in place. We can expose ourselves here and there. And so then they're possibly even bringing the virus into their homes because of lack of responsibility. That again can be a very, very dangerous situation. All of the above. And so this is behind closed doors. This is, behind the curtains. This is in people's personal homes. How can we, as a global family, help to make a difference for those people that right now are so severely at risk for not only just a virus, they're at risk for their own lives and safety?
Yeah, the statistics are horrendous when you think about what we are exposing our communities to by releasing sexual offenders back into the society. It's unimaginable. I do not even want to imagine what those people are experiencing, because when these sexual offenders, often they are family members or they are close friends, and they live in close proximity to the victims or the survivors of gender-based violence, of sexual assault. And there's also children who are often involved in these situations. So I go by what the United Nations recommends, And they gave a recommendation 2 days ago when I was reading through the reports again. As I mentioned, as a UN member, it is my role and responsibility to read through the reports, and as an advocate for women and girls and children, I look at this and I want to share this with anyone and everyone who hasn't been able to read it. So I will send the links to you so you can put them in the comment section so people can download this report and read it for themselves to educate themselves. So the first thing that you mentioned is actually making sure that the abusers are not released during this time, for governments to find a way. So that was one of the recommendations that was actually given. But I'm going to share about the others. So the first one that they shared is actually to increase investment on online services. Why increase investment on online services? Because right now, with all this physical distancing, I don't want to use the word social distancing because we can still be social, like me and you chatting yesterday and today, even though we are not in close proximity. So the physical distancing between people and what has now been recommended, and most countries being on lockdown, people can still use their cell phones. There is power in use of cell phones. So having mobile technology and having websites and having links and apps that can actually be used to help people and to provide services to people who are in these situations. So the United Nations is calling for investment into online services. So the next one is to make sure that the judicial system continues to prosecute abusers. Even though we are in lockdown, it doesn't mean that the abusers are now let loose. They should continue to prosecute them, and when found guilty, they should be put in jail, not released. So this is a call to judicial systems all over the world. Last year in South Africa, I was part of a campaign where there were horrendous cases of gender-based violence, of sexual assault, of rape, you name it. And the country went on a campaign for many, many weeks. And the South African president, President Cyril Ramaphosa, made a declaration that anyone who is arrested based on evidence that has been given to the police of any sexual assault and rape should not be released on bail, should never be released on parole, and people wanted these people, of course, to have the long-term sentence, which is life imprisonment. And so that was something that the president declared. And so in South Africa, I believe this is something that we are working with together with the organizations that I help to raise funds. Some of them, that is exactly what they do. They continue to advocate for abusers, sexual offenders, rapists, not to be released on bail. Once they are arrested, they should be locked in until judgment, and then after that they should be locked in for life. So that is in South Africa. Unfortunately, that is not in every other country. So that is why the UN is saying continue to prosecute abusers. So that's number 2. Number 3, set up emergency warnings in systems in pharmacies and in grocery shops, supermarkets, where someone who has taken a step to say, let me go and do grocery shopping, for them, that could be the only way that they actually go out of their house and tell somebody, I am going through abuse and sexual violence in my house. And so find a way, and even if the abuse accompanies them, find a way of making
Right.
it possible. And I know this has happened because I have watched a number of cases where there was a woman, I believe this was in Australia, there was a woman who was being abused. And the only way she could get out of the house, not during this lockdown, this is something I watched before and
Mm-hmm.
being replayed. And the only way she could get out of the house was to ask her partner to help her take her dog to the vet. And when she went to
Oh.
the vet, that
Mm.
was the only way she could write a note and give it to the ladies at the reception at
Right.
the veterinary doctor and tell the doctor, this guy has a gun. He's been holding me hostage in my house. Please do something. I don't want to go back with him. So
Mm-hmm.
that is an incident that I watched on YouTube. So that could as well be something that we could utilize, where women could be and children could be told, when you go for grocery shopping or when you go to a pharmacy to buy medication, because most of the abusers will let you go buy groceries or to the pharmacy because they want to eat. They
Right. Right.
need the medication if you're getting some over-the-counter medication. But
Right.
while you are in the process, in a clever way, educate people who are going through abuse for them to know that if you're going through abuse while you're standing at the counter speaking to the chemist, that you can write a note and say, this is happening to me, and they can call the police and delay the process of serving you at the till. So those are clever ways of ensuring that anyone who is going through abuse can get help. So that is what United Nations is recommending. So
And excuse me, Caroline, I want to just, on that point right there, I want to just say that I know that I did some shows there for a while in regards to children's trafficking. And there was something that's very similar to that in like some numbers now, hotlines that are available for the children's trafficking, at least in the United States. I don't know if all over the world. And I'm thinking that something like this, and they would put those in the bathroom stalls. And so that then that would allow for but the notes, all of that, you got to think in terms of what can we do. And I'm thinking the technical one, digital platforms and apps, and then combining with when you're out, how can we get the message out? I'm thinking, okay, maybe there is something like this. And if there is, if anybody knows, let's put it in the comments, because this is where we all have the service hero inside of us, and we're going to have this show as a resource for us to be going back. And yes, Patty is saying education. People are loving what you're sharing right now.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Continue. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure that I tied this together and let people know this is an interactive show too. So, if you have resources that you know of, you've heard, if this is also, I want to put this out there. If you know someone that in the past has said, I'm not feeling comfortable with what's happening at my house right now. I'm in a situation right now. And if you know that that person's sheltering in place with the same people, I want this show to be coming to your mind right now. And then we're going to have some call to action at the end. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so that was number 4. So I have them written here. That's why I'm reading them, because this is
that's great. This is
Nations.
good.
This is from the United Nations. You've got to say it the way they presented it. Right. So we already talked about declaring, setting up emergency warning systems in pharmacies and in groceries. Then the next one is declaring shelters as an essential service or essential services. Why is that important? It's because when these women or children, boys or girls, and I'm saying boys and girls because it's even increasing more now when it comes to boys being abused in their homes, whether it's physical abuse or sexual abuse within the home, it's increasing. So now setting up shelters as essential services is really important, because in these situations, someone has to be physically removed from the premises where the abuser lives. And why is that important? Is because this is happening in a home setting, in a family setting. And if it's happening to one person, it could be that it's been happening to many other people who haven't been talking about it. So chances are there could be some kind of oath in the family. It's not like a spoken thing where we don't talk about it. And there's a book that I would like to recommend by an amazing woman from South Africa. And she says, we don't talk about it. And that's the title of the book. Desiree, I featured her in the same issue of the magazine where you are featured as well.
Okay.
So Desiree talks about how she went through gender-based violence and rape and everything that you might think of, and ended up being a drug addict. But in her family, these were things that were going on, and you don't talk about it.
Right.
So
right.
So
Right.
in such situations, if someone comes up and talks about it, they need to be removed from that situation, because chances are they might be silenced by someone
Yes.
else who
Yes.
went through it and decided this is our family thing. They're kind of like saying, it's okay, it happened to this person and this person and this person, and who are you to speak about it?
Right. And that and you know, that's a very important piece, because it can be generational. It and unless you decide to just stop it somewhere, and guys, again, this is tough. However, it is happening, and it is happening possibly right under your nose with people you are unaware of, or you may think, okay, I had a feeling that something could be happening. Follow the gut. Your gut will not let you down, because many times these people that are involved in a generational situation or a family social situation, they know not only are they going to, lose whatever it is, what they know is what they know.
Mm-hmm.
And if they tattle or tell and they talk about it, they're not only going to be losing the person that's hurting them, they're going to be most likely losing their whole support system, because they're all in on it. It's all they know. You can't blame them for it. That's all they know. And so this person that is saying, okay, I am going to talk about it, they know they have to be pushed so hard that they know that it's their life that's on the line, and they're willing to give up everything for that life. And so to have these settings where they can go and they can just say, okay, this is the past, I'm going into my future, and have it set up now in a time where we have COVID-19 happening. This is real-time issues, and it is happening now. And this is where I want you guys again to be thinking, who do I know? Who can I call? So keep going with the UN information, because this is very relevant, very good. And and I'm happy that we have so many people here with us that are participating. In fact, Patty has said, for any victims and survivors who need support, we are here for you. And she has put information here. It's a hotline that you can call, you can text. Very, very important. Thank you, Patty, for engaging and sharing that information. Let's keep it going. Okay, Caroline.
Thank you so much. So another thing is creating safe ways for women to seek support without alerting their abusers. And that's where the 24-hour helplines comes in, like what Patty has just given us right now. I think we should all have a list of those helplines and how to get most of them are actually 24-hour helpline centers that are operating. One of my clients in South Africa also runs a 24-hour helpline service, and they have been declared an essential service, so they are operational right now. And I believe there are many others. in my post on Facebook, I put some numbers for countries.
Yes.
There was South Africa,
Yes.
there was Kenya, there was United Kingdom, and then someone went ahead and shared my post and provided a number for the United States, which is a national toll-free 24-hour helpline that anyone who's experiencing any form of abuse, gender-based violence, physical abuse, any form of abuse, you can call those numbers. So these numbers are available for people to call, and usually the way they work is you call using your cell phone or your landline at home, your telephone, or sometimes you can even send an SMS. You don't need to have a lot of airtime on your phone or credit on your phone. You can call them and they will call you back and get help to you. It is rather sad to say that those 24-hour call centers are actually serviced by volunteers, and funding has been dwindling because I help nonprofits to raise funds for this kind of work. And it's not easy to get funding for this kind of work. And yes, while the 24-hour helpline centers are there, most often than not, they have fewer volunteers than they have callers. So a caller may dial in and have to wait longer. So that's the one of the things that the United Nations is saying: invest in these kinds of services. During this time, it's for government to invest into these services during this time to ensure that as much as the volunteers are providing their services pro bono, but they also need support in terms of, traveling from home to those places, or even a little stipend, things like drinks, water, coffee, tea, to make the center operate, and also buying airtime, because they're calling back people. It's like a reverse call where you call and it's charged to the call center. So someone has to pay the call for the calls. Who does that? Who will be able to pay for the calls? The call center or the nonprofit running the call center has to pay for it. But if they do not have funding, if their funding has dried up, guess what? They won't be able to operate 24 hours and support people who are going through this. So this is a call for government to dedicate funding for gender-based violence prevention, but also specifically to have call centers operational and funded. Yeah.
And in fact, okay, the post that you did share, if anybody wants to go over to, it's on your personal page and also the NGO Whisperer, that they can go and copy and paste the violence case post. Or if it's not done during the show, we'll go in and we'll get this and we'll put it into the comments so it's all in one place. Patty, thank you for sharing the U.S. National Domestic Violence Hotline. That information, very, very important. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, so the last one is scaling up of awareness, public awareness campaigns, particularly those targeted at men and boys. So it's all good that we're talking about the abusers and we are providing support to the victims and the survivors. But remember, the war or the battle is not won if we have not involved the people who are mostly the perpetrators. So we have to educate young boys from a very young age to let them know that violence against women is not acceptable.
Right.
Regardless of what is happening, it's not acceptable. Using rape as a weapon is not acceptable. Refusing to provide for your family and using your power as the sole breadwinner and denying people, that's financial abuse. It is not acceptable. So all this training needs to be provided to young boys from a very young age, and to let them know that You can have a conversation with someone and sort out issues. You do not have to resort to physical violence, rape, or any form of violence or abuse to make your point or to get your point across. So that is education. There are a number of organizations that conduct education for men. Most of my clients that I work with who are in the gender-based violence prevention space, they partner with these organizations and they conduct training. And most often than not, you find that it's the men who normally go out and conduct training for other men, whether it's in pubs or they conduct campaigns or they have men conferences like they recently had in Kenya. It was like a national men's conference where men came and they learned all these manhood things. And there are many other celebrities who are doing amazing work with men. I know Steve Harvey is doing an amazing job mentoring men of color, and he has camps where these young boys come and they are trained to be men and to be real men who take care of women, not abuse women.
I love it. And you know, thank you for being so real, doing the research and then speaking and reading from the UN that has recognized, and I went on to the UN COVID page and looked through it. There's excellent information out there that we can, as individuals that are right now sitting here right now in our homes right now, we've got plenty of time, many of us, and bypass a couple of the Netflix shows, guys, and be that service hero you are inside and get involved and help out. Because I know you and I were talking about this earlier, Caroline, and one of the things that really that's why I asked if you would, and I thank you, you switched around some things on your schedule to come on this show because it is so relevant, timely, and we need to get this message out there.
Absolutely.
And that is that with my community that I support, those people that are affected by cancer, it has been documented and found, and many believe that some of the cancers that are out there have been caused by stress that was so deep at the cellular level that it went skewed into a cancerous situation and created cancer in different parts of the body. And some scientists, some doctors, some believe that certain types of cancer represent certain types of stresses, including abuse, and in particular the type of abuse that we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. This is something that we need to work on right now, in that we are all in shutdown situations throughout the world, and if we are allowing this to happen now, it is not just a here and now situation. I want to propose that to you all thinking right now. If someone is experiencing this type of stress within that situation, that might show up in another stressor later, in that they may hear those words, you have cancer. Let's end it now. Let's turn this around. Let's find ways of getting some support to these people. Thank you for sharing, Patty. I appreciate it. And yes, let's get this out there, because things there, the UN came up with some simple solutions in truth. Yes, there's activity that needs to be taking place, but that's where service hero comes in, because service is an activity word. That is us doing something. And this is a subject matter that I would think many people could say, yeah, wow, the innocent, the children, and those women particularly. There might be some men, I don't want to discount that.
Yeah.
Some reversal of roles, so that's where gender-based violence. Mm-hmm. However, those people that are in a stressful situation, and they are right now, think about it, their strength has been ripped away, and their ability to to leave the situation. We talk about right now all the different organizations that have been helping with sex trafficking, all of those that have talked about being slaves, all of those that have talked about that against their will. Well, now we have a situation that we're all, quote unquote, possibly, you may be thinking, against our will, but voluntarily, because we see that we want to overcome a virus that has taken our world on, and we're fighting back.
Mhm.
We need to be there for those people that right now are saying, wait a minute, you're forgetting me. You're sex trafficking. That has kind of a sexy sound to it. It's not, but it's one of those things people get behind. We right now, every single house in every single neighborhood, those doors and those windows may actually be a jail for these people. They may be slaves right now in a slave type of situation, that in every neighborhood throughout the world. And we as neighbors, we as family, we as friends, we as sisters and brothers, I love the way you put it. My appeal, let us be our quote unquote hashtag sisters keepers and hashtag
Right.
brothers.
Yes. Absolutely.
I would like for you, I'm very passionate about this, guys, and that's why I asked Caroline to come and join me today, because we can, in real time, if we can help one person through this show right now, one family throughout the world, we will have done our job. But I know we can do so much more than that. If we collectively join together and we let our guts talk to us and we do something rather than, uh, one or two Netflix shows or whatever it is that you've been doing, you can maybe put that aside for another day and go out there and actually help someone to get out of a dangerous situation and possibly even save their life. I'm going to pass it back to you with, as we start to round this, at the top of nearly at the top of the hour. What would you like to, as the woman that comes from the NGO Whisper, or from the place that you sit right now, where you are with your knowledge and your experience, what would you like to share with everybody? I'm going to give you a little bit of time. I'm going to take myself down again and let you talk to everybody and give them the encouragement to stepping up and being the best that they can from where it is that your experience has brought you. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much to all our viewers and everyone who is watching. People who go through gender-based violence, it's not a secret. It's often something that they may have brought up in their families, to a close friend, to a friend in church, to a woman, to a man. A child may have spoken and said something, like, this person touched me here and it has been brushed. This is not the time to tell people to shush and to be quiet. This is the time to listen to them attentively and ask them, you reached out to me, you told me this. What is really happening right now? Get your phones, send a text message, check out what's happening in people's houses, call them, reach out to them. Be your sister's keepers, be your brother's keepers. Watch out for children who are exhibiting signs of having been abused, or children who are withdrawing, or teenagers who are withdrawing and showing signs of withdrawal or being quiet in while they are while we are under this lockdown. Watch out for changes of behaviors among children. And sometimes some of them might project by being by having outbursts of wrath and anger and screaming, or wetting beds, or maybe even in some cases having nightmares. Check out. It's time for you to reach out. And we all have mobile phones. Use that mobile phone. Use the airtime that you're using right now to watch Netflix. Use it for good. Reach out to people. And to women who have mentioned previously that they are going through abuse, this is the time for you to step up and to seek for help. It might be scary, because you might ask yourself, if I leave, where do I go? Reach out to the 24-hour helplines and they will provide support. Myself, as an advocate, I am not a psychologist, but I know for sure that with the organizations that I work with in South Africa, in Kenya, in the United States, in United Kingdom, that they are providing support. So even when you call and you find that the line is busy, it's because there are many of you who are calling. Don't give up. There is help, and help is available for you. Reach out to us, go to our pages, send us messages, and let us know where you are, and we will get you help. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to recognize that we've got people that are, applauding you for being here. That we need to, we need to face the tough subjects right now, guys, because this is our global family. We are all family. I love that song, and we are family. And
Yes.
this is the time right now that we are our brothers keepers and our sisters keepers, the children's keepers. There have been so many that have been receiving support over the last year that I have been involved in the next impactor, and I'm so proud of all of those people that have been out there helping with some of the really tough subjects. This right now is the time for us to all unite together and say, yes, my specialty area is over here, working with those people with cancer or that are being isolated and alone with health changing life events. Then there's the ones that are helping with the sex trafficking, and the ones that are helping here and there. This all comes together now. We are in a time and a place that's been like no other, in that, yes, there's been other pandemics, yes, there's been other global situations, yet we have tools that they didn't. We have the ability to take some control. We have the ability to be a service hero inside of us and say, okay, golly, I can do this. I know that my friend Mary Jane at church was telling me something, and I've got her phone number. I don't have to leave my house. I don't even have to put a mask on right now. I can get my cell phone and I have her number. I can check it and see how she's doing. And I'm a friend from church. And so there shouldn't be a problem. I love that call to action. Now, if someone wants to check in, we're going to put in the information that you've shared. We're going to put all your links, everything like that. Are there any other links, any other organizations that we should be tagging into this conversation today that would be relevant for this subject matter?
Yes, absolutely. There are three organizations that I would like to mention. So the first one is an organization in South Africa called Tears Foundation. They run a 24-hour helpline center. Another one is another organization that I have worked with. It's called Women Integral Impact Network, and it's an organization of one of the women also who was in the next global impactor, Francesca Fonse.
Yes, I love her. Yes, I've had her on before. I'll have her back in. Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes.
So she's also helping women specifically with economic empowerment, and when they have gotten out of the relationships or they have taken their children out of homes where they were being abused, that they can provide for themselves and be financially independent. So with that comes financial literacy and how to start a small business as a small or medium-sized enterprise. So that's what she's focusing on. And she's also a gender-based violence advocate in South Africa, as well as the founder of Tears, who is also an advocate and has been over the last 40 years in South Africa. Her name is Mara E. So those are the two organizations that I've been working with for a very long time in South Africa. And then there are many other organizations, but the one that I would like to talk about is actually an app this guy, this is a man, it's not a woman this time. This is a man who developed an app, and I featured him in the first issue of the NGO Whisperer magazine. His name is Jerry Farson. Jerry Farson is the inventor of Lilu, and how to find them is meetlilu.com. So Lilu is an app that you can actually put in, you can download it on Android or iOS, meaning iPhone, and you can have it on your phone. And with this app, you can select 5 people who are your contacts on your phone to be your guardians. So they also have to download it. And whenever you are in distress, any form of distress, what you have to do is to just go to the app and press SOS, and these people will be alerted, and they will know where you are, exactly where you are, and they will be alerted and they can ask for help. So this is useful, not just for gender-based violence prevention, but for also, they call it the personal safety app. So whenever you are and you feel you are in distress, you just press it and the 5 guardians will be alerted. And I'm sure one of them will have their phones on and can call the police or call for support. And even in cases where you can't speak, all you have to do is to just press the SOS button and someone will know this person is in distress. So Lilu works in a number of countries. Unfortunately, it hasn't gone through to some of the low-income countries. So it was founded and invented in Australia, and it is now can be downloaded in the UK, in the US, in Canada, and he's looking for ways of actually taking it to many other countries. So that is an app. And there are many other apps similar to that, which I will not mention in this chat, but we will provide links to. But these 3 are the ones that I have worked with through the NGO Whisperer and supporting them to take this message and what the services that they're providing. And I'm calling out on anyone who is watching right now. If you know of an app like Lilu, or if you know services that are similar to what Win Women is providing, meaning economic empowerment for women who were previously in abusive relationships or undergoing gender-based violence or any form of abuse in their homes, or if you know of any services that are 24-hour helplines, please leave those details in the comments, and we will consolidate them and put them perhaps on your website or on our website, the NGO Whisperer, and when people go there, that they can find help that they need. So for me, that is one of the easiest thing we can do right now. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's just for you to go online, get the 24-hour helpline call numbers or text message numbers, and just copy and paste them. You don't even have to edit it. Just copy and paste it and put it on the comment below. And then Tamara and I will see a better way of presenting it, whether to put it on our website, or we will talk about it and see what is the best way. And in the next few days, share via posts, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, all the social medias that we are on, Twitter, and all of them. That is the way to educate. And the United Nations actually recommends that we do this. We educate people, and that's what all of us can do.
Excellent. Yes. Okay. So we've got our marching orders, everybody. We've got assignments. Let's take it on. Please, hashtag live, hashtag replay, how you've watched this. Please put information in the comments. We will too. And then, yes, we'll be going back to them and get this information out there. Share this video. Also, get your phone out. And if you are feeling like you need to check on someone right now, get your phone out before the show ends and start checking on them, because no time like now. They may be in a situation right this minute where they're thinking, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know. And if you check with them right this minute, that might be a disconnect, a moment that will take a situation and break it, and then, oh, I got to check this. And you never know, that call, that text may actually affect someone's livelihood right this minute. So please get your phone up and do it right now. All right. I want to say thank you, Caroline,
Thank
for
you.
spending all of this time with us. Thank you for being so real. Thank you for doing the homework and bringing it with you. I know that, we'll have you back, because I know that there's so many more things that you do, that so many more emphasis that you focus in on. However, this is real-time issues right now,
Yes.
and the fact that you were willing to come on here and just focus on this right now, I want to say from the bottom of my heart how much it means to me, and I want to say thank you personally. And then from everybody that's watching this, I know they've been well served, and so I want to also publicly say for all of them, we appreciate you for all that you do there at NGO Whisperer, and all your platforms. Keep up the good work, helping those that are making a difference out there, because you truly are a service hero.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, make it a great day. I am featuring another service hero, and actually, it's really interesting. He's actually going into the jails and helping men that have been incarcerated to make a difference in their world, too. So it will be interesting, a second show piggybacking off of this one. All right, so let's see, in about an hour, a little less than an hour, noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern, translate that wherever you may be in the world, we will be going live again with Steve Sims. All right. Make it a great day. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. Appreciate it.